Hey folks, I'm finally Citra-ing my ass down and having a Citra ass down from Against the Grain. This beer's been on my radar for years, and this was the first time that I was able to get a can at a reasonable price, and I think it's pretty fresh. There's no dating at all anywhere, but yeah, they've just started making cans more readily available around here, and I've actually had some of their contract brewed beer they make from Mars, the Jungle Boogie beer, and I had that last time I showed up here, and that seemed really fresh. And this just came, and it's way cheaper in cans than when it used to be like $19 for a bomber. But this beer, I guess, is supposed to be pretty good. It has a lot, pounds and pounds of Citra in it. But it's not exactly a newer wave IPA, I guess. They use Centennial in the dry hopping too. There might be some smudge on the bottom of this glass. It'll be fine though. Yeah, online they said they throw in 11 pounds of Citra at the end of the boil, and then they do 6 pounds of Citra and 5 pounds of Centennial for the dry hopping. But they do use a lot of malts in this one. I think it's got lots of caramel, Vienna, Munich maybe. So it's not going to be super pale and hazy. But it's definitely got a lot of Citra going on. The IBU level is like, I think they said only 65. But it's 8.2% alcohol. It's a double IPA. But I think it's a style of double IPA that I haven't been drinking and reviewing too much lately. But I thought I should eventually do this beer. And yeah, it's looking pretty clear and pretty golden. Let's see if I can get some better light to see that. Yeah, it looks a little red on the camera, but it's not too. It's like more of an orange, I guess, a deep burnished orange, if that is a sensical phrase. Whew. Yeah, pretty good resinous hop aroma though. I do notice that it's a combination of Citra and Centennial. There is some like piney Centennial, but it's not. It smells like nice fresh Centennial. It's not getting too earthy and dirty. Yeah, there's definitely some red berry, almost passion fruit Citra going on in the nose there. It's pretty nice. And underneath there's definitely some sweet, almost caramely malts, but that can work well sometimes with Citra. I mean, it just makes it, I think, more of a red berry sort of fruitiness, and little passion fruit, as I said, and like super ripe cooked peach rather than really fresh like cut pineapple. It's not super duper tropical, but it smells nice. There's nothing, no off aromas in there. There's nothing weird. It's not super green, but I guess it's there's still a little bit of head in the way there. But it's what you might call clean. I'm not getting lots of garlic and, you know, salady arugula or like sweaty sort of weird stuff that can happen from Citra dry hopping. Maybe eventually I'll notice it though. Yeah, it's slightly more of an old-fashioned IPA taste, but it's done really well. It's got the slight sweet caramel malt in there with definitely some pine and very clean resin is, I guess, what I would say instead of something like onion. Very clean, piney, woody resin, but it's not too astringent. Yeah, there's not much bitterness actually. So it's sort of maybe slightly old-fashioned double IPA, but really low on the bitterness and big on the aroma. And the head is really nice. It's thick, soapy, dense bubbles with some big ones forming, but it's still sticking around after my first pour. And I'm not noticing much heat at all. That was just one little sip, but it's really pleasant. And the body's not too big. And yeah, I guess I'm not used to having looks like almost completely filtered double IPA. So I'm missing some kind of texture. But it doesn't really cause any problems with the beer overall. It's brewed really well. I'm not noticing any flaws. I've been having a lot of beers that have some sort of flaw, it seems, somewhere, whether it's appley or it's burnt plastic. That's what I noticed. I did a Lost Nation Mosaic IPA review, and that one had a great aroma, but then had this weird smoky phenol, almost like burnt plastic flavor and bitterness that was not pleasant. And usually if there's something that's totally like wrong and not intended in the beer and normally isn't in the beer or should be in the beer, I usually won't. I'll not post those reviews. But this one, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. No flaws. They know exactly what they're doing with this beer. And now I'm noticing that there's a good amount of sweet, almost syrupy malt body, and not too much texture, not too much bitterness, which is not really what I'm used to. A lot of these more old-fashioned IPAs have a lot of bitterness and a lot of sweet caramely malt going on, and that's not really pleasant for me. But this one does a pretty good job. It lets the fruitiness stick around on your palate. And it's not just like real harsh pine wood resins taking over. And I'm still not noticing too much alcohol at all. I don't smell much. You gotta take a real deep whiff, but this is a very well made beer. They've got this down to a science, as they say. On here they say it is sticky, hoppy, and delicious. I'd say yeah, it's pretty sticky, hoppy, sticky also from the sweet malt. And it says drink from the can, but then you wouldn't be able to smell this nearly as intensely. It's got some nice lacing in there. I'm noticing just a little bit of a berry, almost purple drink thing that I get from Citra, especially when it's combined with some darker malts and a little bit of malt sweetness from them. But it's what you might call really smooth on the tongue. It's not too astringent, it's not thin, the bitterness is really smooth, as people might say. It's not harsh. It doesn't feel like it's raking my tongue or anything. Yeah, I'll give this beer like a 85 or something. It's pretty darn good. Maybe 82, 83, whatever. I don't care. It's definitely worth it if you can get your hands on a can that you think is pretty fresh. You'll have to ask people at the store and be like, "Did this just come in?" Because I can't find any date anywhere on this. But it's definitely worth it now that you don't have to pay $19 for a bottle. So it's good. Bye bye.